Vicki Townsend, and I'm the founder and president here at Divorce Right. And we provide training for HR professionals and company supervisors. And we also provide divorce coaching and case management, providing guidance and direction that your divorcing employees so desperately need. Divorce is a huge disruptor in your company, not only to the employee going through it, but to your bottom line. And our coaches here at Divorce Right have a very unique perspective on divorce that sets us apart from anything else that you've got in your HR benefits portfolio. Our coaches have a deep understanding of the legal, financial, and emotional aspects of divorce, and they can handle even the highest conflict cases with compassion and professionalism. Our coaches are trained to look at the entire picture, helping your employees make good decisions based on their goals and their expectations. So if you're an HR benefits manager, an HR benefits provider, or consultant, please reach out to us and see if adding our suites of solutions is a good fit for your business. As a reminder, we have SHRM credits for SHRM members, and we will post a link at the end of this broadcast so that you can make sure to grab those. And normally today with us, the head of our divorce coaching and case management, Paulette Rigo, is normally here by my side. But today, just like she had happened last week, she has a client that had a courtroom emergency. And yes, we will go to court with your employees if they need us there. We stand shoulder to shoulder with them. We are their warriors and we are their support system. So she is there right now as we speak. So I wish her well and her client well, but we already know that she already won her case so far this morning, and now they're doing all of the paperwork. So today we're going to be talking about life, how life can look after divorce or even in the middle of divorce for your employees, and how they can recover from their divorce, including the grief, the anger, the depression that divorce can cause, with our special guest, Will Limon. Will is an educator, a counselor, an author who directly worked with Dr. Bruce Fisher, co-authoring of Rebuilding. And this is an important platform that I really want you to learn about. For more than 20 years, he presented the Fisher Rebuilding Seminar on Divorce Recovery. And for 40 years, presented his own programs on relationships, communication, and energetic healing to thousands of participants. He is author of several books, including the internationally published Beginning Again, the Rebuilding Workbook, and Beyond the End of Love. So welcome. Thank you so much for being with us, Will. I'm so excited to talk about this program.
Thank you, Vicki. It's nice to be here with you.
I'm so excited. So I want to jump in because this is a program that we're going to be adding to our program. And we are so super excited to have you here and talk about the Fisher Rebuilding Seminar. So give us a brief summary of the Fisher Rebuilding Seminar.
Well, the Fisher Rebuilding Seminar has been around since the mid-1970s. It's probably been the most successful and most taught program throughout the world. Rebuilding by Dr. Bruce Fisher and Dr. Robert Alberti has been published in close to 2 million copies at this point. It's been in 14 different languages. The program has been taught and presented in, I think, at least a dozen other countries at one time or another. At this point in time, Rebuilding is a program it's a 10-session program that can help an individual deal with relationship loss. And as we know, one doesn't have to be legally married for there to be an emotional divorce. So it helps individuals get group support. It helps them understand how to deal with their feelings, the grief, the anger, the changes in self-worth. It helps them even more fundamentally understand the patterns that brought them into this relationship so they can make changes in themselves. And as Dr. Fisher used to say, this program will save your marriage, your next one.
Right.
Meaning when you learn and make those changes, you're going to make different choices in your relationship. So dealing with the grief, the anger, the self-worth, looking at authenticity issues, looking at some of the family of origin issues, and then also bridging into trust, into what we call singleness, learning to create a better relationship for yourself as an individual, which is the best platform, not only for living your life as an individual, but also for creating another relationship in your friendships and your co-working relationships. And then
Okay.
moving on into looking at what relationships might look like, and even discussing some issues around sexuality, having people find out what that means from other men and women as their lives change. So it's very comprehensive. I know in the 20 years that I taught it, it was amazing to see how much people could grow in 10 weeks. In fact, I remember one person summed this up. She says, "This class gives you in 10 sessions what 10 sessions of therapy couldn't buy." And that's because we do two things. One, we have a curriculum that helps people move through the process instead of getting stuck or dwelling on just perhaps grief or anger or other one or two issues. But it also provides the group support. And part of the group is that you have people come back as volunteers who've been through the class and a little bit further down the line, and they're kind of beacons of hope for individuals. So it's very comprehensive. It's very focused. The research that's been done with the Fisher Divorce Adjustment Scale, which is the test that Dr. Fisher created, that helps people understand where they are in terms of disentanglement, grief, anger, self-worth, trust, those types of things. He's found that people who go through this 10-week program typically grow in the 10 weeks what it would take someone on their own about a year.
Oh gosh,
So,
I believe that. I absolutely believe that. When you don't have somebody that can help you make and kind of do that self-discovery work, it's hard, like for me myself as a rescuer that I have been in my past, when you're a rescuer, you tend to rescue broken people, right? That's been my history.
right.
And right? And
Yeah.
so by learning that now, what I've been able to do is I focus my need to help people in my business and doing what I'm doing here at Divorce Right, so that I don't have to do that with a relationship. I can actually have somebody that I don't have to do to help. So having that awareness of what my patterns have been in the past has helped me move into a different way of experiencing relationships.
And that is so important because sometimes, many times, people wind up blaming the ex-partner. If I wasn't with that person, if I weren't with that person, then my life would be fine. And then they wonder why the next relationship goes south either in the same way or in the directly opposite way. And I'll say to people like that, well, who's the common denominator in those relationships? And that's that individual. Yeah.
Right.
And so they and I will attest to the fact that I've also been divorced. And so much of what I teach and much of what is in this program, and I'm working on a follow-up relationship program as well, are things that I have learned personally as well as worked with professionally. So I know the pitfalls, I understand them, I've fallen in them to myself, and I know how to get out of them and avoid them. So this program is, in my opinion, the premier program for helping people deal with loss around relationship. And we've had people in the program, we've had gay couples, we've
Mhm.
had widows and widowers come through.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people who were never married, but they're dealing with emotional divorce.
Exactly. And you don't have to have a legal marriage to also make that relationship breakup just so complicated. To your point, you're still emotionally in that connected relationship, but you may have children together. You may have a home together, businesses together, assets together, cars, and all of that other stuff. And extricating each other from all of that process is very similar to a legal divorce without some of the protections of that a divorce actually provides. Um, so an interesting thing. So my question to you is, and I know the answer to this one, but how does divorce or anything looking like a relationship like that, how does that crisis affect a person, especially for us? We want to talk about their ability to be productive and just a productive member of the team at work.
Well, dealing with any kind of emotional concern, and of course, divorce or emotional divorce, as well as death, are those issues that come to the fore as one of the greatest emotional concerns people can experience in their relationships. It will cause an individual to not only have the feelings, the grief, the anger, it makes it difficult for them to do their work because so much of their energy is tied up in emotions that if they're not learning how to deal with them and express them, they've got to put a lid on them. And in doing that, it ties up their energy, it ties up their brain power. In the working environment, you'll find workers who typically have been really good at what they do and right on the ball. You'll find them being behind the curve all of a sudden. You'll find them have some difficulties communicating with team members. You'll find them having difficulties meeting deadlines or contacting the correct client at the correct time, because there's so much emotional energy being stored up. And along with that, the fear, the sense of loneliness. What am I going to do in my life now? Whether that's becoming a single parent, perhaps, or losing custody of their children. So it takes their energy and attention away from what they need to be doing at work. And this is, a normal part of the process. In other words, you can't fault them for that, because many times the people can't control what's happening in their lives. And so the difficulties come out at work in those ways, and it lowers their productivity, can lower the productivity of the team and eventually of the company. I don't have the figures in my head at the moment. I mean, perhaps you do, but lost productivity from people who are dealing with divorce runs into the millions of dollars. And the larger the company, the more the problem that is.
Right. Absolutely. A Harvard Business Review did a study. It was several years ago, and at that time, it was about $150 billion to U.S. companies. There was a study done by Life Innovations. That's probably about 10 years old as well, and that was including not only just productivity, but absences and also health issues. Because let's face it, divorce causes health issues, and crisis stress causes health issues, right? So increased healthcare costs and things like that. So their study was about $300 billion a year 10 years ago. So I don't know what the math on inflation would have done, but I think we're looking at least $500 billion a year.
I wouldn't be surprised at that.
In this country, just from the damage that this can do without the support. So now that we talked about that, and we're so excited to be having this as a part of our wellness journey for your employees. So how can this seminar help somebody's employees at their work? What is the value proposition here for them?
Well, I'll give you one example. It's a small example, but in doing this program, I've had companies, I've had professionals, attorneys recommend to the program because they know it helps their clients. One attorney, in fact, would pay the price for their client to go through the program because they knew then they didn't have to be the person that their client was crying on their shoulder, their client was angry and going to court over every little thing. They had someone who was much more reasonable to deal with the legal aspects. We used to work with EAP programs all along here in the Front Range of Colorado, where I'm based. And for many years, we worked with Hewlett Packard. And we had so many people out of Hewlett Packard that they almost called themselves the divorce department there, take the class. Because Hewlett Packard knew when these people got support and got help, then they had more energy to do their job.
They can come to work and be a productive member of the team.
Absolutely.
So Hewlett Packard, so how many you've obviously worked in companies in the past. Tell us a little bit about that. How does that work?
Well, the companies recognize the value of the program. It's something that they would help pay for through their EAP. It's something that they had information on and would stay up to date with the schedule of the program. And so, in fact, as more and more people in their companies experienced the program, then they were telling each other. So then it became a mutually cooperative network. Someone would say, Fred over here told me you've got a program going on that can really help people deal with divorce. They would go into their HR department. They would find out about it. The EAP program would kick in, and it would be very smooth. So that from the time a person got separated even, they knew there was support for them. And the company facilitated that by having the information, by helping to pay for it, by getting their workers in the program. And in 10 weeks, it's not a very long time. in 10 weeks, they could find that less than 10 weeks, within 4 or 5 weeks, they would see that their workers were getting back to being productive, were being helpful, were reaching out. And frankly, a lot of the people who take the program wind up becoming healthier people in many different ways, just around ending their love relationship, because they got compassion, they got support, they learned compassion, they give support. And that type of interaction is invaluable on any team, but especially at work, because now you've got people who can recognize when somebody else is having a difficulty and talk to them about it, perhaps not related to divorce, perhaps just related simply to a frustration at work. The communication would flow more smoothly and tasks would get done more efficiently.
Yeah. So what is the best approach for managers to make when, when they determine that there's an employee that's dealing with what looks to be divorce, showing up late for meetings, unexpected absences for court hearings, they're unprepared, they make errors. What's the best way for a manager to approach that employee?
Well, let's set the table here. Hopefully, the work environment is such in which people support each other, especially around work, but also as human beings. And that would lay the groundwork to be able to perhaps have the manager speak to the team and just make it clear that he or she is available as someone having difficulties that's getting in the way of what they're doing at work, whether that's questions at work or even personal issues that might be difficulties, that they need some assistance to be able to do their work appropriately, even though outside issues are impacting them.
Right.
With that kind of cooperative network, then I think the manager could have a discussion and open the door to their employee and say, I've noticed that you're usually on top of the schedule, and the last few weeks things have kind of fallen behind. I'm a little bit concerned, and it doesn't seem like you the way you've been, and I'm just wondering if some things are going on that perhaps I ought to know, or at least in some ways we can help. And then that's where, if a company does have an EAP program and an HR department that provides assistance, and people know that can be underscored, that opens the door, and hopefully then that makes it a lot more likely for the employee to share a little bit of what's going on. I know that at work, sharing personally, there's boundaries around that, and that's appropriate. But when those boundaries get crossed insofar as someone is not being productive, and they're just not happy. Happy people are productive people at work, and they're productive in their lives generally.
Right.
Then it ought to be of concern to everyone to see that this person gets the help that they need. So with resources available, opening the door to say, look, I think some things may be going on, and we have some things that can help you. And an attitude that's not a weakness, but a strength, that someone can communicate that they need assistance. All that together is so important.
Absolutely, because so many people in the divorce space are very, 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 with good reason, afraid to come forward with that.
That's right.
They really are. So tell us, so I know that I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse over this issue, but so from your perspective, what are some of the signs that an employer needs to look for when dealing with this kind of a divorce? What are your key indicators that that's something that's going on?
Well, I think if you've had someone on your team long enough that you kind of know what their habits are, their productivity history, and their communication abilities, when you start seeing changes in that, changes could be someone starts to shut down. They don't speak up as much in meetings. They're not offering alternatives or brainstorming ideas like they usually do. Perhaps you find that they're more withdrawn, either a break from their coworkers, or there are some tardiness issues or absences or illnesses that seem unusual. Or the other side of that coin could be you find someone becomes suddenly irritable and argumentative. And they are expressing frustration. It seems to be coming out sideways, and it becomes increasingly clear that their frustration, or at least the emotion behind that, is really not related to what's going on at work. It's just generally they're on edge. Mm-hmm. Those can be indicators that that person is having stress. And if you're not noticing anything different in the work environment that could cause that stress, such as sudden change in plans, um, miscommunication, or directives that people don't understand, those kinds of things. Things seem to be working smoothly for most everybody else, then you know that this is probably an external cause for this.
Right.
And that's where you would want to be able to reach out with concern, both primarily for the individual, but also for the team.
Right.
And that would open the door, as I say, for the person to speak up. And if they find it reticent, the individual is reticent to say some things, I think then it's still opportune to express, along with the concern, to reiterate what are some of the opportunities at the HR department in terms of programs, individual and group support, just generally speaking.
Yeah.
And along with that, you could have a bulletin board that would post different listings periodically of maybe little classes or talks or presentations. And along with that, you could have information about this program is beginning and it's just there. And
Yeah.
people can read about it, wouldn't have to talk to anybody else about it, but they see that, so they get that information.
And so, as we're going to be doing this training for employees, we want this. We are Divorce Right, right? We do work with divorcing employees before, during, and long after it's over, because divorce doesn't end just because the divorce decree is signed. The problems continue. We are here to support your employees, but we want all of your employees to be able to, whether they've gone through a divorce, had a recent death of a spouse, are going through any kind of relationship breakup, but any kind of grief, we want them to go through this program with us. So we want to make this available and make it really affordable for companies, and we don't want to get lost in an EAP program that people have to dig deep down inside. I love the idea that you had of posting something on a bulletin board in the lunchroom would be really, really awesome, because we know when employees are stressed, when employees don't have the skills and the tools to get through something that's the most traumatic life event they could go through. It's number two, it's the second stressor behind the death of a spouse. And I'm going to sound really horrible when I say this. I want to get that out on the table, that I know I'm probably not presenting this elegantly. But with the death of a spouse, there's closure.
Yeah.
There is an ending.
Yeah.
With divorce, it can go on days, weeks, months, years, decades. And they need help just in the tools to get past the grief, the anger, the hate, all of those things that turn into health issues, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because people feel damaged when this happens.
They feel what?
They feel damaged.
Yeah.
Damaged. And
Yeah.
who's going to care for me now since I'm so damaged? If they have a big D stamped on their forehead.
Right.
And that's why what's so nice about the group is that they recognize they're not alone. They recognize that other men and women have their issues. They recognize that other people of the opposite sex or in the same sex are not evil. So they realize that there are reasons why the relationship ended, and there's a way out of it. Yes. And you're right. Time does not heal these wounds. I've had so many people say to me, I wish my spouse had died. It would have been a lot easier.
Oh, 100%. I hear that all the time.
Yeah, easy enough for them to say, but the point is, you're right. There is that closure.
Divorce is
years, even over a decade after their divorce, still angry, still bitter, still hanging on to things.
And one of the things, I was talking to a friend this week, and we were talking about, there's a lot of physical illness that comes with divorce. And when I say comes with divorce, I mean, it comes with the stress of divorce. Physically, women, we experience a 20% higher risk of breast cancer and advanced stage uterine cancer. Men, myocardial infarctions, lung cancer, bladder cancer, pancreatic cancer, colorectal cancer, and a 27% higher risk of suicide. This is there's a reason we go to the doctor's office and they ask you your marital status,
Yeah.
right?
Right. And
Because
the thing is,
widowhood, there's physical implications there. And with divorce, there's physical implications. And they know, because I've been through a divorce, that they need to really probably check, make sure that I don't have uterine cancer and that I have breast cancer. Women, do not miss those appointments. Men, take care of yourselves. Don't be afraid of the doctors. Go get yourself
Yeah.
checked regularly. It is not, these are catastrophic illnesses that, because of everything that we're talking about today that eats your heart out, this is damaging to your physical physical body. Oh,
well, you think, you
yeah.
look at the strong emotions around divorce,
Uh,
and you can see that the energy of the emotion either goes inward or outward, and emotion is energy in motion. And when
yes.
it goes inward, that's where it causes the illness.
Absolutely. Hi, Peggy. I'm so glad that you're listening today. And I'm so glad that you're going to take this training too, because I think it's really, really important. Peggy Cooper, if everybody does not know, this amazing woman is the founder, and she is the trainer, the head trainer, and owns the company Certified Divorce Coach. And we love her coaches because they are very well trained in the entire process of divorce. So Peggy, thank you for joining us today. And I'm so glad that you're going to be doing this training. Maybe we can get in that together. I'd love to do that with you. So Will, thank you so much. I'm going to put, I promised a SHRM link for SHRM credits for everybody that is a member of SHRM today. I'm going to put that link right here so you can go in and get those credits right away. And we will be doing our divorce awareness and sensitivity training. We are taking that on the road, and we'll be in South Florida in July. We will be working in the Miami-Dade County community and in Broward County. So if that is something that you would like to get your employees trained in and around how to support your divorcing employees, how to build a policy and procedure around an employee that's going through divorce, please reach out to us. We would love to have you be a part of that training with us. We're really excited to be doing that. And Will, thank you so much for joining us today. And I look so forward to bringing this training to everybody. Everybody should have access to this training. And I'm so excited. And Peggy, I'm hoping that you and I can do this together. Meanwhile, thank you all so much. Next week, we're going to be still continuing our mental health awareness training and around divorce with my dear friend, Dr. Randy Heller. So we'll be talking about grief and divorce. So thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you all next Thursday, same time, same bat LinkedIn channel. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.